It was one of those humid Virginia evenings where the air felt thick enough to drink. Daniel had texted earlier, "Running late, the guys are coming over, can you set out some snacks?" Emily just stared at the message for a moment. She used to get butterflies from him, now she only felt instructions. When Mark and the rest of Daniel's friends arrived, the house filled with the sound of beer cans cracking open and middle-aged jokes echoing through the living room. Emily forced a polite smile. "Emily, you really didn't have to do all this," Mark said, watching her bring out a tray of wings and nachos. "It's fine," she answered, though her chest tightened. "It's always fine. Everything I do is fine because you all pretend not to see me." Daniel wasn't home yet. He was never home anymore, at least not in the way that mattered. Mark caught her looking toward the door. "He's probably stuck in traffic. Want me to help with the dishes later?" She laughed softly. "If I leave the dishes long enough, they'll wash themselves." He chuckled, but something in his eyes looked sad, like he realized she wasn't joking. When she walked back to the kitchen, the voices from the living room blurred into a kind of warm noise. She leaned against the counter, exhaling slowly. Her marriage wasn't broken, it just didn't live here anymore. Emily whispered to herself, "Just get through tonight, that's all." But somewhere deep inside, she knew tonight would be different, not because she wanted it to be, but because loneliness is the quietest and loudest thing in the house, and someone else was about to hear it too. The night stretched on. Daniel finally walked in around 9, already smelling like a bar that closed too late. "Hey! There he is!" Mark called out, raising his bottle. Daniel grinned, hugging Mark first before kissing Emily quickly on the cheek, more out of habit than affection. "Babe, you're a lifesaver," he said, glancing at the table. "You're the reason these idiots keep coming back." Emily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. They laughed, drank, shouted over the game on TV. She poured beers, refilled the snacks, and faded into the background like another piece of furniture. At some point, Daniel got a call. "Work? Again? Guys, I gotta take this. Might be a while. Don't get my wife too drunk," he joked, grabbing his phone and stepping out to the porch. Mark watched Emily silently carry empty bottles to the kitchen. Something in her shoulders looked heavy. A few minutes later, he followed her. In the kitchen, the noise from the living room was muffled. It was just the low hum of the fridge and the clinking of glass. "You okay?" Mark asked. She let out a small laugh. "That's a dangerous question, you know. People might actually answer honestly." He leaned against the counter. "Try me." She stared at the sink for a long moment. "I'm tired, Mark. That's it. Just tired. Of tonight, of everything." He didn't say anything, just watched her. She wiped the counter twice, though it was already clean. "Emily," he said softly, "you know you don't have to do all this, right?" "Do what?" "Hold the whole house up like it's your job to keep it from falling apart." She scoffed, blinking away a sting behind her eyes. "If I don't, who will?" Silence. He opened the fridge, grabbed 2 beers, and hesitated. "Do you want to sit for a second?" "Just you. No snacks, no dishes, no hostess Emily, just you." She surprised herself by nodding. They moved to the quieter den, just off the kitchen. Lights softer, voices from the other room more distant. 1 beer became 2, 2 became 3. Her words loosened. "You know, sometimes I think if I disappeared, the only thing Daniel would notice is that no one restocked the fridge." "That's not true," Mark said. "You've known him since college. You tell me." Mark sighed. "He used to talk about you like you were the best thing that ever happened to him." "Used to," she echoed. "He still cares. Caring and being here aren't the same thing." Her eyes glistened. "I'm in this house every day, and somehow I'm still alone." Mark's jaw tightened. "You're not alone," he said quietly. She looked at him then, really looked. There was something in his eyes she hadn't let herself see before, or maybe hadn't wanted to. Things blurred after that. Her laugh got louder. His jokes got softer. The den lights grew hazy around the edges. At some point she tried to stand and stumbled. "Whoa, easy," he said, catching her by the arms. Her head spun, and the room tilted. "Guess I'm not 25 anymore," she murmured. He laughed under his breath. "Yeah, none of us are." Their faces were closer now. Too close. She smelled the faint trace of his cologne, different from Daniel's. More subtle, more present. For a moment, she closed her eyes and leaned forward, not all the way, not yet, just enough that she felt the electric wrongness of it. "I should lie down," she muttered. I'll help you, he replied. He guided her down the hall toward the bedroom, his hand firm on her back. She could barely tell which doorway was which. The last thing she remembered clearly was lying back on the mattress, mumbling, "You came back fast, babe." And a voice low, guilty, not Daniel's, whispering, "Emily, it's me." The rest dissolved into shadows. The first thing she noticed was the light. It was too bright. The second thing was the smell. Not Daniel's usual cologne, not his aftershave. Something different. Then came the sound. Soft breathing, right next to her. Her heart slammed up into her throat. She turned her head. It wasn't Daniel. It was Mark. The room tilted. For a moment she thought she might vomit. His eyes opened slowly, hazy, then sharpened as he realized where he was. "Emily, no." She scrambled away from him, sheets tangled around her legs. "No, no, no, no." Her back hit the headboard. She clutched the blanket to her chest like it could turn back time. "What happened?" she whispered, though part of her already knew the answer. Mark sat up, rubbing his face. "You were really drunk. I tried to. I should have left. I should have slept on the couch." Her voice shook. "Did we?" He swallowed. "Yeah." Silence dropped between them like glass. She pressed her fist to her mouth, biting down until she tasted metal. "God," she whispered, "I thought you were Daniel. I literally thought you were my husband." "Emily, I didn't. I called you babe." Her voice cracked. "I called you babe, and you didn't stop." He stared at the floor. I know, I'm sorry." "Sorry?" she whispered. "You're sorry?" Her chest felt like it was collapsing inward. Outside, somewhere in the distance, a lawnmower started up. Normal life, continuing as if hers hadn't just shattered. She slid off the bed, her feet cold against the hardwood. "You need to go," she said. "Emily, get out." He stood slowly, grabbing his shirt from the floor. "I'll talk to Daniel," he said quietly. She froze. "No, you won't. He's my friend. He deserves a wife who didn't do this," she snapped, tears spilling over now. "He deserves better than both of us." Mark flinched. He pulled on his shoes, opened his mouth as if to say something else, then closed it again. At the doorway, he paused. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "Any of you." She stared at him with eyes that no longer saw him as Daniel's friend, just as another crack in the foundation of her life. "Too late," she whispered. He left. The front door closed with a soft click. Emily stood alone in the bedroom, the sheets still warm, the air still heavy. She went straight to the shower and turned the water as hot as it would go. Steam filled the room, but nothing washed off. Not the smell, not the memory, not the sound of her own voice calling a name in the dark. She slid down the tiled wall, arms around her knees, water pounding over her head. "I ruined everything," she whispered. Then, quieter, or maybe it was already ruined. The day didn't stop for her shame. The kids still needed breakfast. Work emails still came in. The dog still whined to be let out. By the time afternoon came around, Emily had convinced herself she could bury it. People buried worse, she told herself. They buried grief, abuse, secrets, whole lifetimes of regret. Surely one night, one terrible, blurred, drunken night, could be shoved down far enough no one would see it. Daniel texted around noon. "Last night go okay? Sorry I had to leave early, got stuck at the office. I'll be late tonight too." She stared at the message, numb. He hadn't even been there when everything went wrong. And still, she felt like she had cheated on him with a megaphone. "Yeah, it was fine," she typed. "Guys had fun. I'm tired. See you later." Her hands shook as she hit send. Later, she stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Her face looked the same. Same brown eyes, same faint lines on her forehead, same tired mouth. But she knew what she had done. She knew what she had become. Her reflection stared back at her. "Who are you?" she whispered. No answer. That evening, Daniel came home with takeout in his hands. "Thought I'd give you the night off," he said, lifting the bag. "Chinese?" She tried to smile. "Sure, sounds good." He dropped the food on the table, kissed her lightly on the forehead. "You okay? You look off." "I'm fine," she lied. For a second, she thought about confessing everything right there, just dropping the whole story on the table between the soy sauce packets and fortune cookies. But then she pictured his face. The disgust, the hurt, the finality. Telling the truth felt like lighting a match in a dry forest. So she swallowed it. "I'm just tired. Long day. He nodded, accepting it too easily. He talked about work, deadlines, annoying clients, the usual office politics. She watched his mouth move and thought, I slept with your best friend and you have no idea. Something inside her twisted. After dinner, he fell asleep on the couch, TV still flickering. Emily sat beside him, legs pulled up to her chest, staring at the darkened screen reflection. She could see both of them, the man who had no idea, and the woman who no longer recognized herself. She whispered so quietly even she barely heard it, I'm so sorry. But apologies spoken in empty rooms don't go anywhere, they just bounce off the walls and come back heavier. Mark didn't call for a week. Emily thought maybe that was mercy. Then one afternoon, as she was leaving the grocery store, she saw him standing near the parking lot entrance. He looked different, more tired, like he'd aged 5 years in 7 days. Emily, he said. Her body went rigid. I can't do this, she muttered, trying to push the cart past him. Please, just hear me out. She stopped, jaw clenched. People moved around them, carts rattling, car engines starting. The world oblivious to the explosion balanced on a pinhead between them. I'm not here to make excuses, he said. I know what we did was wrong. I know it's messed up, and selfish, and, then why are you here? She snapped. He swallowed. Because I can't look Daniel in the eye anymore. I can't sit across from him and pretend nothing happened. He deserves the truth. Her heart dropped into her stomach. No, she said. He deserves peace. You blowing up his life doesn't help him, and you carrying this alone does. She flinched. He took a breath. I care about him, and I care about you. Maybe this is selfish, but I don't want to live with this lie between us. Between us. She repeated, incredulous. There is no us, Mark. There was one night. One mistake. There is my husband, and there is me trying not to drown. That's it. He hesitated. Emily, did you ever think about leaving him? Before all this, she looked away. Sometimes, she admitted, when the house felt too big and I felt too small. When I'd talk and it was like talking to a wall. And now, she laughed bitterly. Now I don't even trust myself to decide what to eat for breakfast. He stepped back, hands raised. Okay, I hear you, but this doesn't just vanish. I know, she whispered. That's the worst part. I know. She pushed the cart past him, heart pounding. He didn't follow, but that night, Daniel came home looking off. He tossed his keys on the counter, slower than usual. You talked to Mark today? He asked. Everything inside her went cold. She kept her back turned as she unpacked groceries. No, why? He's been weird lately, distant, said something like, I'm not the friend you think I am. She forced a laugh. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe, Daniel said, though he didn't sound convinced. He moved closer, resting a hand on her shoulder. You sure you're okay? She swallowed. Yeah, I'm fine, but her body was stiff under his touch, and he noticed. He just didn't know what it meant. Yet, the silence between them grew teeth. Little things started to feel sharp. When Daniel left a dish in the sink. When he checked his phone too often. When he said, I'm tired, can we talk later? That night, they were normal annoyances. Now, every small thing felt like proof. Proof she wasn't enough. Proof she had failed. Proof she deserved whatever distance lay between them. One Friday, Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, back to her. Did I do something? He asked. She looked up from her side, startled. What? You're different, he said. You look at me like I'm someone else. Or like you're somewhere else. She stared at the ceiling. You ever feel like your life kept moving and you didn't? She asked. Like everyone else is on a moving walkway, and you're just standing on the side watching. He turned to look at her. Sometimes, he admitted. And what do you do about it? I keep walking, he said. Even if I don't know where I'm going. She almost laughed. I walked somewhere I shouldn't have, she said quietly. What? Daniel asked. Nothing, I'm just tired. He watched her for a long moment. You're not telling me something. She looked away. He reached out, brushed her arm lightly. Emily, whatever it is, just tell me. She almost did. The words rose to her throat, pressing hard, making it difficult to breathe. I slept with your best friend. I was drunk and lonely and stupid and it should have been you. Instead, she choked them back down. If I told you, I'd lose you, she whispered. He exhaled. You're losing me anyway. The room went very still. He stood and left, the door closing softly behind him. She lay there, eyes wide open in the dark. Maybe this is what hell actually is, she thought. Being alive and watching everything you love slowly slip through your fingers because you were too afraid to hold on properly. It happened on a Sunday. Daniel had invited Mark over to watch the game. She felt sick when she heard his name, but said nothing. When Mark arrived, their eyes met for only a fraction of a second. It was enough. Something electric and guilty hung in the air. Daniel noticed. "What's going on with you two?" he asked, half joking. "You look like you just saw a ghost." "No, it's Emily started." "Nothing," Mark said at the same time. They looked at each other again. It was over. Daniel put down his beer. "Okay," he said slowly. "What am I missing?" Silence. Mark swallowed. "Dan, I need to tell you something." Emily's chest tightened. "No," she said. "You don't. I can't do this anymore," Mark insisted. Daniel looked between them, his face shifting confusion, suspicion, anger. "Somebody say something," he said. Emily felt like the room was shrinking. Her pulse roared in her ears. "Last week," Mark began, "after you stepped out, we..." "Stop," she snapped. "Please." Daniel stood. "You what?" he demanded. His voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp enough to cut. Emily's eyes burned. "I was drunk," she blurted. "I thought he was you. I swear to God, Daniel, I thought it was you." Mark closed his eyes. "It was my fault too," he said. I knew, and I didn't stop." The world went quiet. All Emily could hear was the hum of the refrigerator and the fragile sound of something inside Daniel breaking. He stared at her. "At any point," he asked slowly, "did you know it wasn't me?" She hesitated for a fraction of a second. "Yes," she whispered, "just too late." He flinched like she'd hit him. The silence that followed was worse than any shouting. Mark stepped back. "I'm sorry, man," he said, voice shaking. "I'll leave." Daniel didn't even look at him. "Yeah," he said. "You will." The door closed behind Mark. Daniel and Emily were alone. He sank down into a chair as if his legs wouldn't hold him. "How long were you going to keep this from me?" he asked. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said. "So you let me sit next to you on the couch, kiss you goodnight, talk about work." While my best friend and my wife held a secret between them, tears spilled over. "I hate myself for it," she said. He laughed, one sharp, humorless sound. "Good, at least that makes two of us." She moved closer. "Daniel, please." He held up a hand. "Don't," he said. "If you touch me right now, I don't know what I'll do. And I don't want to be that person." She stopped. He stood up, grabbed his keys. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Away from here," he replied. "From both of us." And then he was gone. Days blurred into each other. Daniel stayed at a friend's place for a while. No one said for how long. Emily moved through the house like a ghost, doing the laundry, making dinners, answering emails, all while her chest felt hollow. One evening, he came back. Not with flowers, not with luggage, just with exhaustion. "Is this a goodbye visit?" she asked. He shrugged. "I don't know yet." They sat opposite each other at the same dining table where they'd once celebrated birthdays and anniversaries. "Do you love him?" he asked suddenly. "No," she said. The answer came easily, "At least. Do you still love me?" he asked. She hesitated. "I don't know how to love anyone right now," she admitted. "But I know this. All I wanted that night was for you to show up. So much that I pretended someone else was you." He swallowed hard. "That doesn't make it better," he said. "I know," she said. "It just makes it make sense." Silence. He stared at the table. "You broke something," he said. "We both did, in different ways. I checked out of this marriage long before you crossed that line. I just did it more politely." She blinked. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," she whispered. "I don't even know if I deserve to be forgiven. I'm just asking if this is where our story ends." He leaned back, letting out a long breath. "I don't know," he replied honestly. "But I do know this. I'm tired of us living as if we're married to different ghosts." She almost laughed through her tears. "What does that even mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "if we keep going, it has to be with who we are now, not who we were, not who we wish we were. You're not the woman I married. I'm not the man you thought I was. So if we stay, we have to choose each other as we are. Flawed, messed up, hurt, and if we don't?" she asked. "Then at least we stop pretending," he said. They fell quiet again. Outside, a car passed. Somewhere, a dog barked. Life continued, indifferent. Emily wiped her face. I quit drinking, she said softly. He looked up, surprised. When? After that night, she said. I can't trust myself with it. If there's any chance we try again, I want to know that when I say your name, I'm saying it to you. And I know it's you. He stared at her for a long time. Finally, he stood. I'm not ready to forgive you, he said. Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. She nodded. I wouldn't, if I were you. But, he added, I'm also not ready to throw away everything before that night. The years, the memories, the fact that once upon a time, you were the person who made me feel like I could be more than I am. Her eyes filled again. So what now? She asked. He exhaled. Now, he looked exhausted. Now we don't make any big decisions drunk or angry. A tiny, broken laugh escaped her. That's a start, she said. He moved toward the door, paused, then turned back. I'm staying at the guest room, he said. For now. If we're going to try, I want to see who you are when you're not busy hating yourself. She nodded, unable to speak. That night, they slept in separate rooms. The house felt strange, like it was holding its breath. Emily lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She whispered into the dark. Forgiveness isn't for you. It's for me, so I don't die here. She wasn't sure if she was talking about forgiving him, or herself, or both. But she knew one thing. She would never again let loneliness make decisions for her. And if one day, years from now, someone asked her about that night, she would say, I was drunk enough to mistake my husband's friend for my husband, but sober enough to live with the consequences. It wasn't a happy ending, but it was a true one. Sometimes, that's the closest thing to healing anyone gets.